Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Millionaire Mindset Mondays. I'm Jan Carmanico Reeves, and I'm on a mission to make real estate investing fun, easy, and profitable. We're here every Monday night live at 6 p.m. EST, and we have wonderful guests. And we've been transitioning into talking about partnerships. And tonight we have Amy Brooke on with us, and something really interesting she's going to talk about in partnerships is the what if test, which I think is a great way to navigate to see if your values align. So, Amy, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce, where you came from and how you got to be where you are today.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. So yeah, our real estate journey, I guess. I don't know whether it should be
Yeah,
called
yeah,
profession
absolutely.
now or journey, I don't know. But yeah, so we started in real estate back in, oh my gosh, I bought my first property when I was 19. And then
Wow.
we bought another property a few years later that we rented out for quite some time. This was back in the UK. And learned a lot, decided that we didn't want to be landlords really. We hated managing tenants. And we ended up selling that after a long time when really we should have refinanced it, didn't know what we were doing,
You didn't
whatever.
know, right? Of
Yeah,
course.
exactly. Yeah. But the one thing, and I never dived in then and learned really about real estate, but we did purchase primary residence every few years and we'd put some equity into it. So we were like, okay, at least we're trying to build some equity that way in his own primary residence. And then it was back in 2020 that we really started looking into and investigating real estate again and thinking, no, there's a passion there. There always was. By this time, we're in Ontario now, so we've been living in Canada. It was actually 13 years yesterday that we moved to
Oh,
Canada.
happy
Um,
anniversary, Canadian anniversary.
Caniversary, we call it. Happy Caniversary. So,
Oh, that's so cute. Okay.
so yeah, it was 2020 when we was like, right, let's dive in now. And by this time, we'd built up a decent size HELOC, a home equity line of credit, that we learned that we could use to buy an investment property. I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't in vain that we didn't know what we were doing all that time. We obviously, built some equity up that we could then use to start building a portfolio. So that's what we did. And we're at a place now where we have quite a few properties ourselves. We run about just over 20 units. We have a property management company that we're just starting to take on new clients, and we're just getting into the development side as well. So we
Oh,
also do
very
joint
exciting.
venture partners as well. So we do a lot of we specialize so far in conversions, so like single family to triplex. We did a church conversion into a fourplex. We've done like a garden suite. So a lot of that kind of the smaller multifamily, but adding units and converting. But we're just now looking into the larger development. So we've just got a property under contract that we're building an eightplex on, and we have another property in St John that we're looking to build a nineplex on with our partners. So yeah, so that's
Nice,
kind of
very
that's the
nice.
passion. Yeah, that
Yes, and so
I'm really excited about the development side.
yes, it is very exciting development. Yes, absolutely. But what area are you in if people are looking for property management?
So we live around about the Rockwood area, if anybody knows that in Ontario. So the areas that we're doing property management are Guelph, Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo to St Mary's. So we have a few properties in St Mary's. So we're kind of like figuring that route. And then
Mhm.
down to Alma area because we have properties there. So it'll be all along the 401 from Alma then back to Guelph. So it's kind of
Okay.
like that triangle and,
Yeah.
surrounding areas in between that we're targeting.
Okay, very good. Because I mean, people are always looking for um reliable property
Yeah.
managers, I guess, right? So
Yeah,
um
yeah, and it's the reason why we've gone into it. And it's so weird that we never thought, well, like we don't want to deal with tenants. This was like, back years ago. And now it's been a battle over the last few years that we're like, do we really want to do this? And people were so off-putting with property management, saying, oh, don't get into that. It's a nightmare trying to do it. And we're like, yeah, but we actually have a real passion to bring a better service about, bring a better quality service. And the fact that we look after his own properties, it makes us more passionate that people should be getting that kind of quality as if it's your own. So yeah, it's kind of having that understanding to bring a lot more to the table for clients.
Right, right. And who better to be your property manager than a real estate investor that really understands um yeah, the
That's what,
value
yeah,
of yeah.
totally. That's what we believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Congratulations
Oh,
on
thank
that.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just starting to take on
We're just
other
starting to
property.
take on clients now this year. Yeah. We've just got a
Oh,
new
good.
system in place, up and running, and yeah, we're ready to go. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
My husband's
That's
actually the one that's going to be driving that one a lot more while I work on the development side, but we'll
okay.
be doing it together, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. And does do you have a website for your property
We
management
do,
company?
yes. The name of the company is Gravity Homes Management, and we do have a website as well.
Okay, maybe you can share that in the
Yeah.
comments
Yeah,
after.
sure. Of course.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, not a
Yeah, that's
problem.
great. Perfect. So, something that really intrigued me about your answers in the questionnaire to sign up for the
Mhm.
podcast, talking about what's it, the one lesson or insight from your real estate investing journey that you'd like to share, and talking about partnerships. And you put to make them take the what if test. And I love that. So
Yeah.
can can you what a great way to really dive into kind of like a dating site, you know, like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah,
Real
exactly.
the real straight up questions of about their integrity. I don't tell me, give me some examples of
So
the what if
yeah,
test questions.
well, it kind of come from, and it's not. I called it the what if test, but
Yes.
it's not really called the what if test. And I think when I was filling that out, that's when I had this realization of it should be called the what if test.
Yeah, yeah. I think
And
that's a
so
great
I've
name.
just named it that now, and I'm like, right, I'm actually that's gonna be the thing. It's gonna be the
Yeah.
what if test. But we was working on a really big deal. It was like the biggest thing that we've ever done, and it was going down the industrial real estate route. So we partnered with two different. So there's myself and my husband as one partnership, and then we had two other partnerships, and we had 17 acres of land under contract, and the plan was to build a 100,000 square foot distribution center. Like it was a big deal. It was the biggest thing that we'd ever done. And one of our partners, and I really loved what he did here. He brought in. It was before we even really started talking too much about the deal. We had like a bit of an overview, but it was like this is important first to make sure that we're really the right partners that we're aligned.
Absolutely. I
And
think that's brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, and the partnership came about. Like I always wonder when people have got great partnerships, well, how do they come about? How do people get to that level where you've got somebody who you really trust in that partnership? And it's not, and everybody's got different stories on how they come together. For our story, we'd started speaking with somebody, one of his partners, and he had some insight into the like he had a lot of he's been around a long time, so he had sorry, my husband's just brought me a cup of tea.
Oh,
Um,
oh, that's nice.
yeah, as you do. And yeah, so he had a lot of experience, and we'd been talking about the fact that my husband had industrial background, and I went to his one of his seminars, and I started speaking with him at the end of it, and I told him about my husband, and he's really interested in the industrial, specifically the warehousing side. And he was like, I'm really interested in that as well. So we got talking and we met up a few times and had coffee and chatted about it. And then our properties we've got a few properties in Alma, and we got talking to somebody there and got to know him really well, an older guy that's got a lot of properties there. We started telling him about what we wanted to do with industrial, and he put us in touch with his son, who now runs their construction company, who's looking for somebody with that expertise because they've never done real estate. They just own the construction company, but they know how to build. They've built a stadium before and some other things. So this kind of it came about quite organically. And then we just like me and Nigel, we brought the other two partners together to see if they gel as well. So it was that
Okay.
kind of okay, let's get on a call. feel it out how we kind of gel together and if we'd make a good team. So yeah, what he did is he brought in this literally, it was just a list of questions that we all had to take away an answer, and then we'd send over to him, and he kind of collated the information a little bit. But we sat down on calls and we spent a few hours on this. And at the time, I was just like, I just want to get into talking about the deal and
Yeah, 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 yeah,
moving
yeah.
on this. But I look back now, and the importance of that is crucial to really understand a partnership and if it's the right person to speak to partner with. And the questions were, I kind of I've got it in front of me a little bit, the initial questions, but there's a lot that we added in after, which I've not got in front of me right now. But when we talk about what if, it really was a case of like, what if it, like throughout this deal we realize that we've put so much money into the deal, and this isn't the right thing to do, and we need to pull out. We're like, what if in that scenario, in that scenario, how would you feel? And then what if we get to the end of the deal and one partner needs to move out and needs to move out of the deal, and what if in that scenario can they bring, what's the rules and everything. And a lot of this comes into the legal aspect as well, but
Right.
it was really that upfront questions and conversation that we all had to be very open and really like uncomfortable, to be honest, because we didn't all know each other that well, but we had to be really uncomfortable with it. And it put us in a good place to start with, and it actually built trust from the beginning. And I mean, this deal didn't end up going ahead. It didn't end up being the right deal, potentially not even the right partnership in the end, but it was a really good lesson
I was
on
going to say, what
how
a
to get to
great
know each other. And
exercise,
yeah,
though.
and
Yeah.
then there were things that potentially didn't maybe like didn't I thought somebody was a certain type of person, and actually in their answers they said something very different. So that'd make us, well, like, oh well, I actually thought that you were coming into the deal to bring this skill. And they were like, well, I am okay with that skill, but actually this is my better skill. And it really helped us understand where the gaps were. So
Hmm.
it was, yeah, it was, we spent so much time on it, but when I look back,
But
yeah,
what
it
a
was
great
good.
way to help to create the agreement as well, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's on the same page right from the get-go, and there's full transparency,
Yeah.
right?
You're
So
not getting to a place where you're paying, lawyers, and you've got like, way past that stage where, we even we opened the corporation and everything. We did get quite, far in this till like look at it, like the market turned and there was a lot of different reasons where it was like, we need to walk away from this.
yeah,
It's going to
yeah,
be the turns out to be, the best deal that we've not done kind of thing. So we did,
right, right,
but that's the risk in these kind of big deals. But we also, I'm just looking at a few of the questions. We also asked a lot of uncomfortable questions along the lines of, what each partnership's net worth was, what they'd be willing to invest in the deal. Um, what amount of labor are they willing to invest in the deal? And for a payment, or just, like kind of free sweat equity to get the deal
right, right.
done, to really
Yeah,
understand people's mindsets. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Like
very
physical
important
labor
questions.
or hours of,
Out like hours, yeah, any
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
input into it. But it's important because when you put in these commercial deals together, what we've learned now is, there's you can be paid from it in different types of ways. And it might work very well to be paid from the deal, but it also might not to get the deal done. And it's that understanding on everybody being on the same page
right,
on how that structure works. And one of our partners was actually the builder. So that was a different, that like we really grilled that side of it, because it's like,
right.
what are you bringing to this? That, you're building it, we're still paying you, you're getting paid the building, like a general manager fee, whatever from it. How does that look? And things like that. So yeah, uncomfortable questions up front, and
Yes.
lots
But
and lots of, what if questions. What if it goes wrong? What if anything at all? Just to really understand.
Yeah,
where
but
you're
just
from.
full
Yeah,
transparency so that you can look at what everybody's what's the word I'm commitment is to the deal
yeah,
and why what that commitment is worth in equity or payment
exactly.
or yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I think this what if now, I probably,
Yeah, I
you know,
love
I
that.
know
I
you're like,
love
oh my
that.
God, I love that. And I'm like, oh, it wasn't official, but I should make a list of questions and add
Yes,
some
yes.
more onto that that I
Yeah.
think that we probably should have asked. But we did, there were like 35 questions or something that
Oh
we
my
all got to
goodness.
go, oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of, literally down to what are you bringing to this deal? What skills are you bringing? Why do we need you in this deal? It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
really
No,
down to
that's
that
that's
level.
amazing. I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. So, you just went through the questions one by one and everybody kind of went around and gave
No,
their
we took no, we took it away and we spent a week, all of us, really going deep into it.
Okay, so it
And
wasn't
then
just off the top of your
oh
head. It was
no,
like
no,
you,
it was really, really
yeah,
a thought process. We also did like a
like an
test as
application
well.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like
Hmm.
that kind of thing. But we also did, and these weren't like yes or no answers. Like we had to really think and throw some paragraphs out there. And we also did a test as well to put forward what kind of personality we was. And
Personality test. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it was really good. And then we come together at like I think a week after, and we collated some of the information our partner did to see, if we had some gaps, but we just went through them all and talked about it openly on each question and how we answered it and why we answered it. And we, kind of challenged each other. Well, I wasn't expecting that of you. Why did you answer it like that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
tell us more and explain on it. So,
I
yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely needed.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
jumping into partnerships with people,
Yeah. No, well,
it's
and
a long marriage.
especially when you're getting into really big deals like that, right? And there's probably would have been several partners,
Yeah,
yeah, in the partnership.
yeah,
And
we'd have had shares. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and that can get complicated. So you really have to form a solid team that everybody does bring the value of the equity share, maybe
exactly.
that
Yeah, yeah,
right?
you've got to bring something to the table. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. Um, and then one of the other questions was, in your opinion, what's the key to a successful JV partnership? And that's communication and staying on the same page. And
Yeah.
it's all about transparency, right?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. And I think even like we've not that was like the biggest partnership that we've gone through. Now we have partners now, but they are kind of friends of ours. So, but even that is it's interesting how you learn, how they're working. And we probably didn't do the what if test with them.
Yeah, yeah,
And thinking about it now, we probably should have done, but we've had a lot of open conversations, over a drink on a Saturday night. So it's a
right.
little bit different in that respect. But still, you really have to know what somebody's goal and target is out of this and what they're expecting from it because you automatically like you think of real estate, you think, oh, I'm going to get, a monthly cash flow income and that's exactly how it's going to be. So you really have to set the stage for, realistically what needs to happen. You need to build up some money in the bank, like,
Right,
before you
right.
start
Or what their objectives
distributing.
are. Are they looking for
Exactly.
cash flow or are they looking to leverage the equity in the property to use it for something else, right? Like,
Yeah.
um,
You need to
yeah,
know what somebody's goal is for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, those questions are really important. Yeah, I'd love it if you put together a list of what if
I will do
questions
that. I will,
and
yeah.
shared it.
I will
Yeah,
do the what if test. I'll make it official. That's what
yeah,
it's officially
yeah.
called now.
The One, I mean, one advantage of partnering with friends that you do spend Saturday nights with, and especially over a few glasses of wine,
Yeah.
people tend to their inhibitions, really shows their true character, right? And
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
you really get to know who they are and what they're all about, what their integrity is, work ethics, and
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
do partner with friends. But that being said, it's also a good idea to answer some tough questions, maybe like,
Mhm.
or just what their real estate goals are. What yeah,
Mhm.
what
Yeah, definitely.
are they looking for
There's-
cash flow? Are they looking?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also that opposite side with friends that you really have to be very open and honest because you could like if something goes sour and you don't end up agreeing, you could lose that friendship.
Yeah,
You know? So
exactly.
it really is important to get on the same page and understand everybody. Like you think that somebody understands something just because it's clear in your mind, and it's not.
Right.
It's something completely different in their mind, and it is really important to make sure you're all aligned. And you know, the no. We were just talking. So this is our St. John project, and we were just chatting with him at the weekend and saying, what if this happens, and how would you feel if we didn't end up going ahead at this stage or the because ultimately you all want to see the build, like we were wanting to do the build, that was our plan, but now we're looking at, right, okay, does it make sense, like let's not get emotional about the numbers, and so we're trying to really let them know that this is the first time that we've gone through a development as well, of
Mm-hmm.
especially out of province. We've done a lot of, smaller ones in Ontario, but out of province it's difficult as well. So it was good because as long as we're just communicating and getting that feel for, and the answers from them, it helps us understand better and make decisions a lot better because they're the passive partners in this. The other great thing as well we've learned is, um, they really are like brilliant at, knowing when something needs paying. It's like, yeah, okay, just let us know, they pay it straight away. It's things like that. And that really builds the trust to know that you're in a good partnership when somebody is integral and, they're paying their share on time and things like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And the thing is, as we all know, in real estate investing, it's not what if something goes wrong, it's what when something goes wrong, because
exactly.
nothing ever goes according to plan,
Yeah,
right? You you
yeah.
can't you can't guarantee anything.
No, that's it. You've always got to do a worst case scenario, and
Yeah.
then even throw in a worst case scenario.
Absolutely. You gotta
You've
have
got to make that
plan A,
clear.
B, C, D, E, F, G, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
different things that can happen, and
And then
what is
H
the
and I
very
will come
worst?
up
And
and you have to be able to pivot, right?
yeah,
And so your partners need to understand that those things will come up,
mhm,
I think, and trust that you will make the right decisions business wise, right? What's
yeah,
best for the deal
yeah,
according to what's on the table in front of you today.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely, definitely. And
Hmm.
we've like the others that I'd say partners, but more like lending. So just like partners with debt, but it's still very, very important that to make sure that those partnerships also have an understanding of how their money's being used. And a lot of them, like we've had a lot that they're not really interested. They're like, yeah, okay, I know that you're doing whatever you're doing with real estate. We know we'll get it back, whatever. And just nice to get the interest. But even though they're not as bothered, we're very like every month we send like an email out just with some
Update.
pictures,
Yeah.
updates on the specific property that they might have lent on, just to let them know that we're professionals and we're using their money in the right way, and everything's going to plan. And I think that's important, even though they're not asking for it, they might not really be opening it. The fact that they just see the email and they're like, oh, Amy's update,
Yeah.
everything's good.
Yeah.
So it's really important to really respect your partner's money as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And communication again,
Yeah.
right? Back
Yeah.
to
Back to
communication.
communication. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So, any words of advice to people looking at getting into partnerships other than the what if, which is great, to I think right from the get-go, maybe even before you look at a deal, like when
Yeah.
you're interviewing partners to, yeah.
I think a lot of people have said, I've heard different things saying, different sayings of find the deal first, the partners and the money will come and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I get that to a certain extent. It does make it easier to speak to people more, but I think it also makes it feel a bit rushed and a bit panicky when if you've not got a good base of people that are potential partners and that that you can work well with, if you've not got that up front and you've not done that work up front, it can be very risky to be straight out there finding the deal. I know that's the most exciting part, getting out there and finding the deal and making it work, but like what we've learned over the last few years, it's better to build up those relationships and get on the same page and learn what somebody wants because there's always going to be deals, no matter what people say. People are like, there's no deals in Ontario right now. There's loads of
Right,
deals. You've
right.
got to,
Or
it's
you're building the
creative.
relationships and um, a specific deal might come along that a certain group of people might be better for a partnership on that deal, whereas, a different deal might be a different group of people, right? Or different partner, depending on what their goals are, depending on how the partnership is structured, depending on what they have to bring to the table, all those kind of things. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think relationship building,
Mm,
right?
yeah, definitely. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the partnership
I'm
and experience as you
relationship
like,
building.
yeah,
Really, the
relationship. Yeah.
longer I love traveling with people, having them to my home, going to their home.
Nice.
Um, yeah, the longer you know somebody that like just going out for dinner is really not, you can have a great conversation, but I found like traveling on the mastermind retreats, you're
Yeah.
together for a week, you go deep on some things, you really get to know people
Yeah.
and what they're all about. When you do a couple of trips like that, different things, like I said, invite them into your home, go visit their home, all those kind of things, if they're in different cities, you really, yeah, start building that trust and that relationship and
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
getting to know, about their family and their goals and their all those
Yeah.
kinds of things, right? They're pets. So they're
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. I can imagine that there's probably some good partnerships come out of the retreats because
Yes.
of that,
Yes.
spending
Yes.
time
Actually,
together.
one of my recent partnerships came from a retreat.
All right. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Just
Mhm.
yeah. And the more time you spend with somebody, I find yeah, you just get more conversations, more, um, a few glasses of wine, like I
Yeah,
said,
that helps.
what?
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but it certainly makes me speak the truth.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I do anyways, but, I maybe, I don't know. It just takes away your inhibitions, right? And you might talk about things that you might not usually talk about. Um, yeah. Anyways, that's and at retreats, there's wine with dinner and those kind of things. So
Yeah.
really to relax and
Mm.
um, together
Yeah.
and really
It's
get into.
having those really like good quality conversations with people as well. And
Hmm.
not, like sometimes you can be I know like networking and everything else, you're so focused on trying to get around everybody, speaking to everybody that you don't
Right.
having good quality conversations with just a few people. And that's something like I was like that. I used to
Yeah.
be, okay, I got to speak to that person, and
Well,
if
not
I
only
got
that,
my
you
photo
get
and
distracted, right? By, oh, there's so and so, I gotta go say hi, or like
exactly,
those
yeah.
kind of things. But to really have a quiet conversation at a big networking event, it's difficult unless, yeah, which usually doesn't happen, you
Mm,
unless you meet for breakfast or something
mhm.
before the event starts, or privately, and have a conversation that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. Outside of those networking events, that like those are starters, right?
Yeah,
To
oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I kind of go now and I always think, right, well, what what do I want to get out of this now myself, and what, could I give to people, which normally you don't know until you're like chatting with somebody, and then you're like,
right.
oh, I can tell you about this, or I can connect you to this person or whatever. But you always want to think about what you can give back as well. But whenever I go now, I always think, right, who's going there? Is there anybody that I really want to have a really good chat with?
Yeah,
And I might focus on that person a little bit, if so, but I try and just have a smaller amount of really good quality conversations. Even if
yeah,
there's been a few events where we've literally only spoke to two different people, but like for the most of the time, but ended up with, a good, not maybe not a partnership, but somebody that I can, meet with a lot more and call
right, right.
if
And
I need advice. And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
been the same
that's
way.
something I think that can come out of it too, is just having the conversation, even if it's a brief conversation with them, set something up for later. Like
Yeah.
I'd really like to follow up with you, and I think
Mhm.
we could work together somehow, or whatever, I can bring value to you.
Mhm.
Um and that's the beauty of, I think, networking at those networking events, is you talk to people and what are you working on? And, oh, I know so and so that did that, and I can connect you guys together,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
those kind of things. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
we've got
that's
so
fun.
many connections that way.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't even remember now. You just kind of keep going on, and you're always finding new people in those networking events to go
absolutely. Oh,
something.
and I love the energy of them, the buzz, and
Yeah, me
the
too.
excitement, all that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, and connecting, other people
Mm, mm,
together, right? That
yeah.
yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm asking you questions now,
No,
but
that's great.
I'm intrigued.
That's great. I'm always asking the questions. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So what, like with your partnership experiences, because I know you've done like a lot of creative financing, and so I'm assuming a lot of partnerships that have
No,
moved
so
along.
far, no. So far, I've been doing mostly on my own, and I'm just starting to get into partnerships, which is
All
kind of
right.
why I switched over the platform to talk about partnerships, because
All right. Okay. Yeah.
I want to learn. I want to yeah, see if we could potentially partner on something, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's what I find, real estate investing is all about collaborations, right?
Mm.
And so,
Yeah.
working together with other people. And there's only so much you can do on your own, and then it gets to a point where yeah, you have to build partnerships to go
Yeah.
further. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's, I'm learning, right?
Yeah. Same. And
And
we're
how
kind
to
of we're there now
structure.
as well. We've done everything on his own so far.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, we're just at that stage as well now where we're realizing that, you can go a lot further if you go together. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So that's, yeah, that's been my focus.
All right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think part of it is too, like I talked about at the mastermind, it's nice to have partners so you can celebrate together, or, when you're
Yeah.
doing things on your own. You have your husband, I don't have one. So, you know what I mean? My daughter's here with me, and she thinks I'm crazy sometimes when I'm like dancing around it, like, oh, but she's getting it now. She's
Yeah.
so that's great. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because it's all about celebrating the small wins, right? Getting excited about things, and
And it's challenging as well. It can be really lonely. Like I work part-time now for a company, but the rest, like the other, like full-time. I laugh saying like I work part-time, but I still work full-time, like
yeah,
being
yeah,
in
yeah,
real
yeah.
estate. stuff. And it can get really lonely when you've not got the partners, when you're dealing with a lot yourself, and you need somebody to bounce off and bounce
Agreed.
ideas off and everything.
Yes.
And everybody's busy doing their own thing. So we're finding now once you've got that partnership, it's quite exciting to share the journey with somebody and share the wins, even if they're like pretty passive in it, or they are just fully a passive partner. It's just nice still to have those updates and to be able to share what's going on with them. So
Absolutely. I
yeah,
agree. I
yeah, it
agree.
feels like
Yeah.
more of a team.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I enjoy even, having other calls with investors just to talk about the projects that they're working on and,
yeah,
cheer them on and they, you know, cheer
yeah,
me on and all that kind of stuff in my personal projects. But yeah, so that's again part of the community, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
But if you're um vested in the same deal, then that makes it that much more exciting to
yeah,
really
yeah,
celebrate. Yes. Agreed.
definitely.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions for me?
I don't think so. On the topic of partnerships, I don't think so. But yeah, I'd love to like quiz you on everything about
Yeah,
like
yeah, no, and like I said,
your journey
we can
so
talk more
far. So
after
yeah,
we go off. Um, I just want to say it's okay. Just reading some of your questions here.
you
Um,
can remind me of them, of my answers.
yeah, yeah. Oh, your unique skills or expertise. You talk about your ability to bring people together and clarify the situation, task, goal, etc. Yeah, ensure everyone is on the same page, and I think that goes back to communication, right? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Everybody's staying on the same page. Yeah, and I think that's so important. It's like they say, sometimes partnerships will outlast marriages.
exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I've heard a lot of people talk about that. It can be nasty if you've not got that, if you've not asked the what if questions to start with,
Exactly.
and things go a different direction, and you realize that you want to do different things, and you didn't actually talk about that when you first
Yeah.
started off to refer back to, because I think sometimes as well people can change, and people can have different things that happen in their life, and it's not always intentional.
Circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, it can
Hmm.
be, life's tough sometimes and it can take you in different directions. But I think having that clarity and having it wrote down somewhere and keep a record of it, of, what you agreed, if something happens in this scenario,
Right.
it happens and it's not a great scenario, then at least you can refer back to it. If you've got one partner saying, no, I don't want that. And it's like, well, no, we agreed that, this is kind of what we said would happen in this scenario. So,
Right.
like I said,
Right.
there's like that's why you do want a really good lawyer, obviously, to make sure there's a lot of things like
Covered in your
that's agreed
agreement.
up
Yeah.
front, but there might be other things, just to understand that side and, the personal side that might not go in the agreement that the lawyer puts together. So
Right, right.
really
Or
helpful.
things too that should be clarified too if somebody doesn't fulfill their duties. What's the
Exactly.
consequences,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That so that's clear from the get-go. And I always think of Barbara Coloroso. I don't know if you know, she wrote books about bringing up children and
Right.
natural consequences. So the child knows if they do A, B is going to happen.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
they do A, like don't get upset that when B happens because you chose to, take those
Yeah.
actions knowing what the consequences are going to be, right?
Yeah,
So
and sometimes you have to lay it out so simple like that because,
yeah,
5 years goes by, 10 years goes by, and you're still in this partnership. Like I said, things change, people forget. So,
yeah, yeah. That's why it's great to have it in writing, right?
yeah,
And clarified. So
yeah,
that, yeah, you can't go back to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Well, we're getting close to wrapping up time here. Anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners? Any last minute?
I don't know. I don't think so. Probably once we put the phone down, that
Yeah.
once I've ended the
As
call,
per
sorry,
usual.
that
Yeah.
yeah, that'll come to me. But no, yeah, it's past my thinking time to be honest at this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you will put your link to your property management company, your website,
Yes, sure. Yeah, I will do
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, and you're in the Kitchener, Waterloo, Elmer.
Yeah, kind of like, so we're near Guelph, so like I'd say like Guelph, but we do surrounding areas along that way
Okay.
to Cambridge, Waterloo, and then down the 401 Ingersoll, Woodstock, down to Alma.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, that's great. I can't wait to see the what if list when that's
Yeah,
created.
I will get that together.
Yes, I think a lot of people would be interested in getting a copy of that. Yeah, yeah, that's great tips. Well, thank you again so much, Amy, for joining and your insights into your experience in partnerships. And yeah, I guess we'll see you all again next week. And thanks for joining in. And have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay.